manipulation rule number 1. Crowds obey simple emotion. Manipulation rule number 1. Crowds obey simple emotions, not logic. In crowds, it is emotion, not reason, that dominate. The collective mind is purely emotional. Crowds are controlled through fear, anger, and excitement. Rational arguments are ignored, while strong emotions spread rapidly. Mass manipulation rule number 2. Repetition creates belief. Affirmation, pure and simple, kept free of all reasoning and all proof, is one of the surest means of making an idea enter the mind of crowds. The key to manipulating crowds is to repeat a statement over and over, without explanation or evidence. Repetition hardwires it into the collective mind. Mass manipulation rule number 3. Visual symbols overpower words. Crowds, being only capable of thinking in images, are only to be impressed by images. Crowds react to strong visuals and symbols far more than complex ideas or arguments. What they see shapes what they believe. Mass manipulation rule number 4. Prestige paralyzes judgment. The special characteristic of prestige is to prevent us seeing things as they are and to entirely paralyze our judgment. When a person, institution, or idea is seen as prestigious, it silences doubt and critical thinking. Prestige blinds the crowd to reality. Mass manipulation.
Okay. Greetings, glad tidings to all the beloved across the realm. This is Chief Ironbush speaking. Mësët to all. Now, what you must understand, and some students and members of the community, the Tree of Life community and the Chief Ironbush Mystery School already know this. But those that don't, there's 4 planes of existence. I'm not talking about dimensions, okay? There's 12 dimensions, and then there's something outside of that, and that's what's called the Great Mother or Source, okay? But there's 12 dimensions that each have 12 overtones, which is 144, all right? That's a whole nother teaching. But there's 4 planes of operation throughout each dimension. It doesn't matter what vibration, what frequency you're on, it still goes by the universal law of these 4 planes of existence. Okay? There's only 2 things that exist in this you and I verse, and it's force and form. Okay? Now, in different cultures, this has been called the Father God or the Mother Goddess. And they switch constantly. It depends whatever Legion of the light bearers that you're going to buy into. And ultimately, Legion is meant to, it's usually a starting spot, the starting line. But it's not meant for you to stay there and finish the race, because then it'll just be, the race will never end. It's a loop-de-loop. You know, instead of you're thinking it's the 100-meter dash, but really you're running the 14 million meter, relay. So a Legion will lead you just in circles. Okay, and it's idolatry. Every single Legion is idolatry if you remain, if you do not proceed. It's meant to be inspiration. That's what all these mythologies and stories were written for by our ancestors, benevolent ancestors, for inspiration, to inspire your subconscious, the heart and the mind of your heart, which is your soul. okay, without your carnal mind even knowing it. Because your carnal mind is going to block, that's what they call the flesh and all that. It's automatically going to block it if you're not in alignment. It's going to block the truth, okay, especially from generations of indoctrination that are now written into your light code. But you do have the authority to correct that immediately. It doesn't take generations to correct it. You can correct it right now. So you have 4 planes of existence. 2 forces only exist in this you and I verse. Excuse me. 2 energies. All right. 2 things, you could say. All right. It's force and form. So force exists in the spiritual plane. That's your spirit. That's your aura. Your aura is nothing more than golden light, okay? The 7 lights, the 7 archangels, all of that. The 7, 7 chakras, the 7 seals in the Bible, the 7 churches. Now the 7 bowls are different because the 7 bowls have to do with what's called the planets. What they tell you is the planets. Planet is a new word, okay? Planet, that's one of the newest words in the English dictionary. I mean, a couple 100 years old, but it's not that old. Now, previous to that, they're called wandering stars. Previous to that, they were called suns. Previous to that, they were called Saturns. Every single what you call planet was called a Saturn. Now, the one we call Saturn was called El Elyon. So that has to do with that means the Most High in Canaanite. That's what they worship. So your Old Testament Bible is nothing more than Saturn worship. All of it. Okay? The real Christ came as a seed of the mother, Emmanuel, which that's what that means. The exclamation, the uncountable, the countable, uncountable, exclamation, seed of the mother planted within time. That's what Emmanuel means. Emmanuel. All right? Not Emmanuel, not Emmanuel or Emmanuel. They tell you that's Hebrew. Hebrew is a Greek word. So there was no Hebrew. The Greeks made that word. And it's an anagram for her web. On Turtle Island, or what we call America today, it was known as Turtle Island, then it was known as Amor Inca, and then they changed it to America. Well, in ancient times, ancient moments, before Egypt was called Kem, it was called Tamara. So America just means the spirit of Egypt. That's why if you look on all the money, the Washington monuments, this and that, it's all Egyptian symbols because it's built upon the spirit of Egypt. Okay? If no one knew anything about America, but they knew Egypt, they would come to America and assume that this was just like owned by Egypt. This is just an offshoot. Like they wouldn't know that this is a separate nation, which it's not a nation. It's a corporation. All right, it hasn't been a nation since 1868, when the Freemasons opened up the United States Corporation that's owned by the Virginia Corporation, which is known as the Crown, which is owned by the Vatican, which is now finished. 112 popes. That has to do with the moon cycle, and it also has to do with chakras as well. That's a whole nother teaching. Okay, energy points. All right, everything they do is micro, macro, and it's based off of universal law that they keep from you, but they reveal the method. They reveal the truth. They just don't have to tell you how they're revealing the truth. They can reveal it in a movie. You're thinking it gotta be on Fox News or CNN. The whole time they're feeding you lies on there, and it's more truth on the next movie that's coming out. But that's universal law. You've never been taught that. You've been taught UCC Admiralty Maritime Law, aka corporate legal fiction, aka color law. That's what you think the police are for, law, law and order and all that. No, they're not operating by law. It's the law of the sea, the merchant. It's merchant law, aka policy. Okay, that's what police are. It's policy enforcers. But I digress. So we have 4 planes of existence. Spiritual is force. Your mind is form. That's why what the man was saying, how the logos and symbols take such a deep hold on people, because it subconsciously forms in your mind. Forming a picture in your mind is just as real as if it's here in the physical. Why? Because the physical is the only other plane where form exists. Form only exists in your mind and in the physical. Force only exists in the astral, which the astral plane, and the spiritual plane. See, these controllers, or L eats, the ones making sure that L eats, and L is, Chronos, Father Time, Saturn or Satan, goes by many names. Yahuwah, Yahweh, that's the father that eats his own children. It's time. The Saturn cube, Metatron's cube, all of that. Sharp lines create friction to eat your energy. The Cain-Abel system. Cainables. Spiritual Cainables. And physical too. What is loosed in the heavenly realms is loosed below. So if they're masters and their guiders, the ones that are guiding them, disembodied spirits who are eternally cut off from the Great Mother, they've cut off the Great Spirit and they've merged with Techni, aka idolatry. That's what Techni means, right? Or technology. This is who people call the Anunnaki and everything. They have no connection to the feminine spirit, the feminine and the sacred feminine. Now, they have a false feminine energy and a false masculine energy. It's called the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Okay? That's called Anu-Na. That's their true name. Anunnaki is later on when the Akkadians got a hold of the tablets and all that. The real Sumer, the tablets in Sumer, the cylinder seals on cement and clay, said Anu-Na. It's the distorted masculine and the distorted feminine energy. All right, and it was Inanna, and then it was and then Madonna. It's changed to many different Nas, over the ages. That's always a key sound letting you know that it is the distorted sacred feminine energy. It's distorted. Now, An or Anu is the new. They're telling you in the words, it's a new masculine energy. It's not the sacred. It's not the one from source. It's not the origin. It's not the atone, the atonement, the atone of the mind. It's the distorted one. It's a new world order, the patriarchal, where the distorted double masculine, the Cainable system, the Enki and Lil, the Yah and the Yahweh, because Yah and Yahweh are two different entities. That's Enki and Enlil, Esau and Yaakov, Ishmael and Isaac, or Isaac, okay? Cain and Abel is Kayain and Abba-El. That's the Yah and the El. That's the two double distorted masculines, okay? It's two poles on a battery. It's the cathode and the anode. That's the Anu or Anu. This is the anode, and the cathode is the Catholic or cathedral, okay? The Roman. So you have Anu, An, all right, as the positive, and then you have the cathode or the Catholic as the negative. Now in Egypt, this was called the Ka and the Ba, the spirit and the soul. This was called This was called Osiris. Excuse me. This was called Isis or Isis. All right. Originally, it was All-Set and All-Sar, but to break that down, what that meant is Isis or Isis. It's Isis reflection. Okay. Just like Adam or Atom backwards is the reflection of Muta or Mutta or Mada or Mother. The sun is the reflection of the mother. Just like the sun up in your sky is reflecting the energy from Gaia. The black sun is intersecting with the pole star, white light, and the black sun is just a vibration, and it carries every color. And that's the red Kachina, blue Kachina from the big red sun that they think is Nibiru, but it's Neb-Haru. Okay, that just means the opening of the first eye again in the cycle. All right, and the last time it happened was a big red sun, so they call it Nibiru, but it really is Neb-Haru. Okay, so we're approaching the little blue sun, which is called the abomination of desolation, which is above the North Pole, and you know it's a changeover event by plasma. Every other one is one by water, one by fire. Okay, all you gotta do is look around and see the oceans, and you know what the last one was. It was by water. Okay, that was the taking out of Atlantis. They had a parasitic, they terraformed our bowl or crater or world, whatever you want to say, and tried to make it like theirs, which is their home place that we call Saturn. Is a crater and a crater and a crater. That's the 3 rings of Atlantis. They remade that here on a smaller scale. And the gold that you're told the Anunnaki came to mind is not physical gold. It's your aura, your golden light. So, basically, the elites, the L eats, the ones making sure that L eats, the father eats his children, and they remain here. They're stuck. They're stuck in time. Okay? Now, force and form cannot exist in the same plane. Force exists in 2 planes. Form exists in 2 planes. So what they do is they operate from the force realm. The force planes. We call that the causal planes. And they keep us in the form planes. And that's called the effect planes. And what they do is they implant thought. From the force plane, they implant things into the form that create a chain reaction in your mind, and then you manifest it through spoken word. See, we never had spoken word before. We only had visions. We spoke through form in our minds. The only reason you were spoken words, we use spoken words to manifest from the force, from the astral or spiritual into the physical. Words literally did that because words are what? Vibration. So it's acoustics. This is how they created the Great Pyramid, all of that. It's all acoustics. Okay? It's literally acoustics. The birds in the springtime when they begin singing again, this literally activates plants to come resurrect. Okay? So there's hidden stories with all this. Osiris and everything that has to do with the Nile and the Sirius star coming back. And they knew when the Sirius star was over the horizon that the Nile was going to flood. When the Nile flooded, it was a good thing because then all the green, the foliage would come back. So a lot of these stories are allegory, but it's micro, macro. It's what's loose above is loose below. All right? So you need to understand. These people know this. The moment has come for you to know. The Piscean age is the age of believing or beliving in something. Anything. You just want to be live in anything. Doesn't matter what it is. You just want to fellowship, be around people that believe the same thing that you believe, and you feel good about it. but where that energy is being sucked out by the second, where that's called being on the cusp. It will be fully sucked out by 2040, be gone. We will fully be into the age of Aquarius, which is the age of knowing, the water bearer. The water holds all the records, the chords, okay? The chord is a vibration. Water holds every vibration since the beginning, when time began, okay? This has to do with Tartarian technology and stuff. That's a whole nother teaching as well. So the water bearer represents the bearer of truth, okay? And removing the lies. That's why the water bearer is also shown pouring water out. It's sharing the water, sharing the truth with others. You can do with it as you will. You can keep the truth to yourself, or you can share it with others. And you can also pour out the lies too, because the water bears record of the lies as well, just as the trees do. That's why, and they know this too. That's why I chop down our biggest trees. You think you've seen a big tree. You've never seen a big tree. We don't have any big trees here right now. Even the biggest redwoods or any kind of tree, they're mini compared to what's getting ready to come back in the next 1,200 years after the 2040s. All right. Things are gonna get so much bigger because we're going back to the organic energy. People would become bigger once again, okay? But you're also gonna have a visible light body as well. There will be no sun. The sun is a focal point. All right, that's just a thing to measure time, and they worship time. So the sun worshippers worship the sun and Saturn, because remember I told you Saturn and the planets are considered suns as well. So sun worshiping is not just the sun, the focal point you see that every rising and every setting. All right, it's all the suns. It's the Elohim, they call them. All right, energy signatures, nature signs. And Saturn, the real Saturn, emanates a 369 energy pattern, double counter-rotating pyramids. That's the Ka and the Ba. That's Isis and Isis, the reflection of Isis, which they then called Osiris, but it was originally Isis. Okay? And so I have teachings going deeper into this. I just wanted to share this with you. It's things like this that we must begin to start to know and have to share. Now, I will tell you, I have noticed those that have took them nanobot, the nanobot injection, it seems like something has been turned on here lately. It's like the hive mind is starting to come online. I have noticed that. I don't know if any of you have noticed it, but it's almost like they're being demonically possessed, but it's technology, and they really believe that they still are. It's just them. It's them making the decisions, but in actuality, it's acting upon their lower self and bringing out all their worst qualities, and they're acting upon. That's what's called the beast. They call it the mark of the beast, because they're acting in a beastly manner, demonic manner. Okay, I've been witnessing it here very heavily for the past, I would say, the past month, or many call month. So let me know if you've noticed the same in wherever you're at. But yes. And him speaking of prestige and royalty, let me tell you, if you look in Black's Law Dictionary, a man and a woman is higher than a king and a queen. Did you know that? It's because a man and a woman are actually gods and goddesses. A king and a queen is just somebody that's down here, like the king of the ants, the queen of the ants, insects. They're not even considered man or woman. Okay? There is no king wolf leading 2,000 wolves into battle. There is no queen gorilla leading 7,000 gorillas into battle to take land from, the chimpanzees. Now, of course, somebody could say, oh, I seen on National Geographic it got in a little scuffle. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this insectoid behavior where they got us living in cells, hexagonal cells and square cells, cube cells and stuff, when we naturally lived on the land and we always lived in circular structures with no sharp edges. Okay? So it's the moment is here for you to know the truth. All right? So I love each and every one of you. The moment is here to see through this illusion, the ill use of ions, and for your eye to come on. That is your first eye. That is actually surrounded by darkness, where all important things are. Every important, crucial thing is surrounded by darkness. That's why you're going through trials and tribulations. That's why you feel like you're alone. Because you are that light that's shining in that darkness, because you are that important thing. You're an eternal soul, but for the use of this metaphor, this parable, you are that light that is shining in the darkness, because you are that important thing. Okay, all important things are surrounded by darkness. Your liver's not sitting out on your stomach out in the light all day. Your kidneys aren't sitting out in the light. Your heart's not on the outside of you with bones over top of it with light shining on it all day. It's all in darkness. Your brain is in darkness. Your pineal gland, pituitary gland is in darkness. Everything that is really important is in darkness. And then the things that are really, really matter aren't even made of matter. They're in the force plane. Okay? The vibration, the frequency that you can't even see here. You're only seeing 0.003% of the the light spectrum. Alright? You're not even seeing 1% of reality. The moment has come, beloved. Chief Iron Bush. Mësët.